Hi, I'm Julie, and my husband Nick and I are currently traveling full-time in our truck camper. Traveling like this has allowed us to see the entire coastline of Florida. Florida is divided into different coasts, and I thought it'd be fun to go through them, rate them based on how beautiful the beaches are. I look at two things when rating the beauty of beaches. One, how pure and white the sand is, and two, how clear and blue the water is. That's it. So there are 13 coasts. Let's rate them starting with the least beautiful beaches, number 13, to the most beautiful beaches at number 1. And just a little side note, this entire video is simply my opinion. Nothing is set in stone. Everybody has their own opinion. So let's get started. Number 13 is going to be the Nature Coast. This coast is not where you go to for beautiful beaches. It really doesn't even have any significant beaches. It is more known for the small town old Florida feel, more for fishing and boating. I didn't really even want to include this coast in this video, but we are going through the entire Florida coastline. So here we are, number 13 goes to Nature Coast. Number 12 goes to First Coast. This is the beginning of the Florida coast on the Atlantic. If you've been to Georgia beaches, you know that the water is brown there, so naturally the neighboring beaches will be brown too. And it starts to clear up as you head down the coast. So second to last place goes to the First Coast because of the brown water. Number 11 is the Forgotten Coast. This is right next door to the Nature Coast, and while there are more larger beaches here, like St. George Island, Cape San Blas, and Mexico Beach, the water is brown here. You might be wondering why First Coast got a worse place than the Forgotten Coast. They both have that brown water, but First Coast has more tan sand, while the Forgotten Coast actually has some pretty white sand. So it went up a spot over First Coast. Spots 10, 9, and 8 all kind of go down the Atlantic coast here. Number 10 goes to the Fun Coast. This is right next door to that First Coast, so the water is still pretty brown. It's starting to clear up a bit. Here you have Daytona Beach, where you can drive on the beach, which is fun. Number 9 goes to the Space Coast. This is Cocoa Beach, Cape Canaveral National Seashore, Merritt Island, Sebastian Inlets, and all the way down to Melbourne Beach. And this Space Coast, again, the water is still a little bit brown. It's starting to clear up. The sand is more tan here on this coastline. So number 9 goes to Space Coast. Number 8 goes to Treasure Coast. This is Port St. Lucie, Fort Pierce, Vero Beach, Hutchinson Island area. And I would say the water is actually cleared up by here, but the sand is still pretty tan. So that's why number 8 goes to Treasure Coast.
The heck?
Like powers came down with waves.
This is cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. Number 7 is the Florida Keys. And you might be a little bit surprised about this one because you would expect the Florida Keys, if you've never been, to be in the first spots. But the thing with the Florida Keys is it doesn't really have the nice beaches that you would expect in the southernmost point of Florida. This is closer to the Caribbean. Florida Keys has more in common with the Caribbean than actual mainland Florida, so you would think the beaches would be pristine. And it is correct about the water. The water is definitely beautiful, turquoise, clear, beautiful water. I have nothing bad to say about the water. It's just the beaches are kind of non-existent, which is pretty disappointing. And the reason for that is because of the coral reef off the Florida Keys. It prevents the waves from crashing on shore, and those waves crashing on shore is what creates the long sandy stretches of beach. It still has Bahia Honda beaches, Higgs Beach, and Smathers Beach, Fort Zachary Taylor Beach, but the beaches are just not what you want in the Florida Keys, so it's a little bit disappointing. The water's absolutely gorgeous, but that is why number 7 goes to the Florida Keys and it's not higher. If you're looking for more information about the Florida Keys, I do have an entire Florida Keys playlist of videos I've made. Everything from kayaking out to sandbars, to a Florida Keys travel guide, to a Key West food tour for you to pick from. Definitely check those out. Spots 6, 5, and 4 were kind of hard for me to pick which coast goes in which spot. They're all even for me, honestly. Spot number 6 will go to the Gold Coast. This is Miami, the cities on the beaches: Hollywood, Fort Lauderdale, Pompano Beach, Boca Raton, Delray, Boynton Beach, West Palm Beach. They have the gorgeous, gorgeous water, but the sand is not white, it's tan, so it goes to spot number 6. And again, spots 5 and 4 were so close. They're both pretty even in my book. Spot number 5 will go to the Lee Island coast. This is Fort Myers, Sanibel Island, Captiva Island, Bonita Springs, that coastline. This whole area was really devastated by Hurricane Ian in September, I believe. It was still pretty bad when we went a couple months ago, so we didn't really get any good footage here, but it has beautiful water. The sand is white. It's not pure sand like spot number 1. Number 5 goes to Lee Island. Number 4 goes to Suncoast. This is Tampa Bay area, St. Pete, Clearwater Beach, Calidisi Island, Honeymoon Island, Egmont Key, Fort DeSoto Park. This area is gorgeous, beautiful waters. The sand is white, but it's not pure sand. There's shells mixed in here. Okay, we're down to the top 3 spots. So number 3 will go to Paradise Coast, and this is the Naples, Marco Island. Water is beautiful in Naples and Marco Island, and definitely has more shells in it. It's not pure sand. Number 2 will go to the Emerald Coast. Beautiful, gorgeous water. The sand is white. Yeah, it's just a beautiful area, the Emerald Coast, up in the Panhandle. And the number 1 spot, the last coast that's left on the list, is the Cultural Coast. This is Sarasota, Siesta Key, Bradenton, Anna Maria, Longboat Key. Siesta Key is my favorite beach. It's the best beach in my book. This beach is glorious. Pure white quartz sand. No shells mixed in, no seaweed. It's just pure white sand. When you get to it, it's so striking. It's gorgeous. The water is clear and blue turquoise. This beach is beautiful. Siesta Key Beach is my favorite beach on this list. This is why Cultural Coast deserves spot number 1, because Siesta Key is pristine, both sand and water. And that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. You found it entertaining, informational, helpful in planning your trip where you're going to choose to go. This video did take a little bit of work to make, so if you could please give it a like if you appreciated it, that'd be amazing. Subscribe to follow along as we travel in our truck camper. We're going out west currently. Comment down below if you agree, disagree, what your opinion is on the coast. If you've been all over the place in Florida like we have, I'd like to know your ratings too. That'd be fun. Well, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. We are in Pensacola Beach. Here's a look at the water and the sand. So definitely the same on the whole Emerald Coast.
Here's the pier. So the Emerald Coast is really beautiful. The water, sand is pretty much the same. Panama, Destin, Pensacola. I still am liking Destin a little bit more for some reason. So you can't go wrong anywhere on the Emerald Coast. At Coral Cove Park. Down there, we walk north to Blowing Rocks Preserve here. So when it's high tide and the waves come in, sometimes when they hit the rocks, the waves go straight up into the air. So it's a pretty cool little area here.